So I listened to Kamikaze High and I realized Eminem's a genius, especially when he's angry. My problem is that the bars, homophones, double entendres, and the beautiful carnage that created a masterpiece of rage as he demolished his enemies. Okay. One thing's for certain, he was mad, and I mean really mad.
Let me put a fucking silence on this little non-threatening blonde, very cornball taking shots at me.
And that's over a tweet. This man is like the John Wick of hip-hop. It doesn't take much for him to go absolutely ballistic. This entire album is like Eminem's John Wick fantasy. No one will save. But on top of all of that, he came back enough wordplay to make Prime Lil Wayne cry.
Baby girl, I'm finished.
In a bar with Simmons for one final blowout, culminating in a mask on 4, fulfilling his promise that
when I go out, I'ma go out shooting.
He certainly went out shooting, cause for the duration of an entire album, we witnessed the return of the baddest Slim Shady from the Marshall Mathers OP. Although a little older, fatter, black-haired, with a beard and a deep voice, but still baddest Slim Shady nonetheless. So today, we chronicle that fateful attack on August 31st, commemorating the lives of all the fallen perpetrators of Walk and Watergate. And an absolutely insane story that climaxes to reach the point where he finally crashes out like a kamikaze. And just like that, Eminem tosses into battle with his 5.5 minute stream of consciousness, serving as a tirade against mumble rappers, Charlemagne the God, and the media. And Eminem comes out guns blazing, viewing rappers having essentially become the Spec Olympics where unintelligent music thrives. And so he mimics mumble rappers to compete.
Do you have any idea how much I hate this choppy flow? Everyone copies, they'll probably know. Get this fucking audio out my audio.
Using that triplet flow commonly used by Migos.
What's in my vault? Load of cash and no sauce.
As he disses the generosity of modern hip-hop, sharing the sentiments that, well,
maybe Stan just isn't your cup of tea. Maybe your cup's full of syrup and lean.
So maybe this time he's speaking language I understand if he wants to cause a stir. And
shake the world up if it were up to me.
He's also why I have a double entendre now in his ad-libs so it doesn't go people's heads. You know, cause
you missed the line and never caught it cause it went over your head because you're too stupid to get it.
You get the picture. But perhaps the most comically hilarious diss on the song comes when he says
Gemma-Crest white strip in the tip of my dick with an ice pick sticking in a vice grip. Hang it on a spike fence, bang it with a pipe wrench while I take my ball sack and blink it like a light switch.
He's going somewhere with this, I promise.
These are things that I'd rather do than hear you on a mic since 9/10 of your rhyme is about ice.
That's how much this man hated trap music if you ever had a question. And he wasn't even halfway done here cause he's still legit that he's a pureblood. Unlike what he basically considered to be the spoiled brats of hip-hop who got the genre handed to them after people like him changed the game. Starting off by saying,
you won't ever see MIC, but as cold as I get on the MIC, I polarize shit so the temps might freeze.
Ice Savoy flips at Ice Cream right before introducing that polarizing and freezing bit. Yeah, he just perfectly brought together the pureblood I'm not like you thing and the polarizing controversy he was addressing. Essentially giving both a reminder of who he is whilst also reiterating how he'd never dumb down and rap all the subject matter mumble rappers do. A sentiment he doubles down on in just a few lines.
I heard you mumbling but it's jumbled and mumble jumbo.
We'll go deeper with that in a minute, but what's interesting is how this cockiness is counterbalanced by this conflict between himself and his Slim Shady persona. A concept prevalent throughout the album, evidenced by sequences like this.
Paul wants me to chill, y'all want me to ill. I should eat a pill, probably I will.
Where he's essentially fighting opposing forces within himself, both lyrically and in cadence. Of course, not nearly as blatant as the death of Slim Shady.
Now say you're sorry, and you didn't mean any of it. I'm sorry, Marcel's a pussy, he's Dre and Jimmy's puppet.
But eerily ringing the same bells and echoing the themes of going back to his roots versus embracing maturity. Although, I'm not so sure maturity is an option for a man who can't help himself but pronounce volume as Valium whenever he gets the chance.
Turn down for what? I ain't loud enough. Nah, turn the volume up.
Yeah, but it kinda uses that to tie into the Slim Shady things sprinkled across the album songs like Lucky You. Although, I kinda like it more when it's deranged in an egotistic I'm invincible manner, like
I'm Eastside, never be caught slipping. Now you see why I don't sleep, not even a wink. I don't blink, I don't doze off, I don't even nod to the beats. I don't even close my fucking eyes when I sneeze.
Yeah, that quick shot cadence sort of gives off this military drill vibe which is punching in with every single line. But even better than that for me is that hungry sequence ending in a barrage of food metaphors. Going from the sort of rhyme tennis expressing this album-wide feeling of hunger from revival.
I'm fed up with being humble, and rumor is I'm hungry. I'm sure you heard rumblings, I heard you wanna rumble. Like an empty stomach, I heard you mumbling, but it's jumbled and mumble jumbo.
Taking yet another shit on mumble rappers because why not?
I'll take a number 2 and dump on you if you ain't joiner. If you ain't Kendrick or Cole or Sean, then you're a goner.
And ending off with a comparison of the prevailing sound of fast food.
I guess when you walk in the BK, you expect a Whopper.
Essentially deeming it low quality garbage, while creating revivals or porterhouse take
if you're looking to get a porterhouse, you better go get revival.
To be inaccessible to most people financially just as the album was inaccessible intellectually. Completing the comparison by adding,
but y'all acting like I tried to serve you up a slider.
And going on to say,
maybe the vocals should have been auto-tuning, you would have bought it.
Reaffirming his sentiment that the audience is too addicted to the prevailing sound to listen to anything meaningful. But Eminem wouldn't be hip-hop's John Wick without slaughtering a few more people. And this next victim got some of the pettiest disses. We're talking of course about Charlemagne, who dissed Eminem's BT cypher.
I was very happy that Eminem used his privilege to combat prejudice, but yo, that verse was just okay. But you niggas was acting like that verse was so phenomenal.
His album,
I thought Revival was a whack album. I don't like woke Eminem.
and of course gave him,
Donkey of the day.
starting off more generally saying,
I'm sorry, wait, what's your talent? Oh, critiquing my talent. Oh, bitch, I don't know who the fuck y'all are to give a subpar bar.
flipping the script and criticizing critics for not making any contributions while belittling the work of actual artists. But he slowly gets more specific.
You mention me, millions of views, attention and news. I mention you, lose for me, win for you. Billions of views, your 10 cents or 2.
Narrowing in on internet critics more specifically who benefit from using big names in their videos and articles. Then zooming in even further, focusing on Charlemagne's criticism of his BT cypher, and more specifically, this line.
Racism's the only thing he's fantastic for, cause that's how he gets his rocks off and he's orange.
That Charlemagne had this to say about.
The thing isn't even orange, and that was a reach.
And just for that, Marshall John Wick Mathers had 2 sequences dedicated, starting off with the earlier mentioned.
You missed the line and never caught it cause it went over your head because you're too stupid to get it cause you're mentally retarded but pretend to be the smartest with your expertise and knowledge.
A flip on the ring film concept of a smart person pretending to be dull, also reiterating his view that critiquing isn't art. But it also introduces that controversial uber fast flow, which in my view is him using speed as substitute for that raw Slim Shady energy to express his views in a way that flows like blonde Eminem. Something more prevalent and greatest where his Shady relapse gets a bit more serious. That would make more sense, and of course a Shady relapse wouldn't be complete without utter pettiness. Hence,
Shout to all my colorblind people, each and every one of y'all. If you call a fire engine green, aquamarine, or you think water is pink, dog, that's a date. Looks like an olive to me. Look, there's an apple. No, it's not, it's a peach.
I aspire to be this level of petty. He just copiously drills in, and Charlemagne not getting this one reference all the way from calling him
Mentally retarded.
to dedicating an entire segment to his colorblindness. That's some beautiful carnage right there. Love to see it. Of course you do, but how people still want smoke with this man is beyond me. But he wasn't done just yet, going on to address perhaps his most divisive target to date, then President of the United States, Donald Trump, for whom he faced intense criticism and backlash after dissing again in his 2017 BT cypher. Albeit subtly, I actually noticed starts a few lines back when he says,
I get in peace, my enemies die. I don't cease fire till at least all of the cease.
kind of implying a weakness on Trump's part for having gone through impeachment while priding himself in being vicious towards his critics. Interesting perspective, of course, going on to be more direct when he says,
Cause I feel like the beast of burden. That line in the sand, was it even worth it? Cause the way I see people turning's making it seem worthless. It's starting to defeat the purpose.
and adding,
I'm watching my fan base shrink to thirds, and I was just trying to do the right thing. But word has the court of public opinion reached a verdict, but still yet to be determined. Cause I'm determined to be me.
addressing how so much of the hate for America's political tensions got thrown on him for simply expressing his opinion, and how the message he was trying to get across was misconstrued in a sea of everything else, as well as how he lost fans and likely sales for simply expressing his views on something that was important to him, but also expressing how he wouldn't be swayed to back down by criticism. Yet another concept prevalent in this album. But can I just say though, that beast of burden, even word that people turn and rhyme scheme that pushed together for so long just put it all together so well. I mean, the old man's pen is obviously still elite. Extremely, but going back to Trump, Eminem finally gives somewhat of an apology, saying,
But if I could go back, I'd at least reword it and say I empathize with the people this evil serpent sold a dream to that he's deserted.
in a very tongue-in-cheek apology, I'll be doubling down on his thoughts. And again with that rhyme scheme, he just carries it over to the very end of the Trump saga with that at least.
He's heard it, cause Agent Orange just sent the Secret Service to meet in person to see if I really think of hurting him or ask if I'm linked to terrorists. I said only when it comes to ink and lyricists.
Just winding it up, ending the sequence perfectly by addressing how the CIA paid him a visit as if he was some kind of national security threat, something he's obviously used to at this point. But finally he addresses the media. Of course it starts way back with lines like,
If I press the issue just to get the anger out, full magazine could take staples out.
cleverly and concisely addressing criticism by rapper Vince Staples over, you guessed it, his BT cypher. In a 4-part play where each of these words has a double meaning, trolling the idea of battling through and with media by saying maybe if he wrote a full magazine, he could take staples out. A phrase which in gun terminology would also mean emptying an entire gun, taking shots at someone. A subtle layer there being that taking staples out would also be ripping apart a magazine, symbolizing his beef with the media as well. But he decides to end off by giving perhaps the most creative flip-off I've ever heard, saying,
But my beef is more media journalists. Hold up. I said my beef is more media. Journalists can get a mouthful of flesh.
Turning media journalist into a homophone for the words media, a journalist, making it read, my beef is more meaty, a journalist can get a mouthful of flesh. Before reaffirming,
And yes, I mean eating a penis.
and before you can even digest that, part 2 of the sequence adds the second meaning of the song.
Don't wanna turn this to a counseling sesh, but they've been putting me through the ringer, so I ain't ironing shit out with the press. But I just took this beat to the cleaners.
Ending the song with impeccable wordplay wrapped up in a series of laundry metaphors. From him being put through the ringer to refusing to iron his issues out with the press and taking the beat to the cleaners. And just when you think you can finally breathe, Eminem decides not to. In this 3.5-minute knockout that sees him proclaim his greatness, blending together sheer rap athleticism and top-tier lyricism to blur the lines between rap and battle in a huge middle finger to both rappers imitating him and his lungs.
Till then.